So this is an example where we are using the normal distribution to compute a probability. So according to the CDC, only 40.4% of patients are seen in less than 15 minutes in an emergency department. Suppose the local hospital has a total time in the emergency department of 154.8 minutes with a standard deviation of 63.2 minutes. This should probably say a total mean time or an average time. That is supposed to be our average, and a standard deviation of 63.2. So this is like the population, right? We're talking about the local hospital in general. So that's a population mean, which is represented by mu, which is 154.8 minutes. And then our population standard deviation is represented as sigma, hopefully you guys know, which is 63.2 minutes. So I'm going to write down the information as I read, and then I'll double check if I need to. Then the patient is released for additional care or recovery. We will assume it fits a normal distribution. Obviously, it has to if we're going to use normal distribution to compute probability. What percent? This is an indicator. What percent? I'm looking for a percentage. If I'm on a normal distribution type of situation, if I'm looking for a percentage, that means I want area under the curve. What percent of patients spend between 153 and 213 minutes in the ER? Now, I like to draw my situation. You don't always have to do this, but I draw my situation. Hopefully you try to be horizontal and not diagonal like this, but if I'm on a normal distribution curve, the center is the mean, which in this particular case is 154.8. Always the center. I always like to put my center there because it's kind of a reference point, right? Now I want area because I want percent, but area between what values? You have to determine between what two values. And in this particular case, it's a nice easy one because it directly gives you the two values that it wants to find the percentage or the area between. Now 153 is over here, figure not drawn to scale, and 213 is to the right of the center. And this is why I like to put my mean in the center, so then I kind of know what the center is and where my values are relative to that. And because I want percent between, that means I want area between. So I want this area. So if I were drawing it, this is kind of what it looks like, right? Rough sketching. This is just a visual to help me determine like what's my next step. Now, whenever I want area, we know that we're going to use our calculator trick, normal CDF. So we find normal CDF when we press second vars. And I've told my students a lot, we know that we live in either stat or second vars. So you're going to go second and vars, and you want to go down to normal CDF, press enter, and you want to bound your area, lower bound, upper bound. So your lower bound in this particular case is 153, that's the left end, the lower end. Upper is 213. You have to tell it the mean and the standard deviation. Our mean is 154.8. And our standard deviation is 63.2. And we're going to paste. So those of you that don't have this look, you're going to know how to input it. Press enter again. So our answer is approximately 0.3328. I want to always check to see how they want me to round. And it doesn't say here, but typically with probability or with area, we want approximately 3 to 4 digits to the right of the decimal. Now, those of you that don't have that pretty option where it says lower, upper, you have to know the order in which to input it here. So it's always lower, 153, comma, upper, it's a comma, 213. And then my mean is 154.8, comma, my standard deviation is 63.2. Okay, so if you don't have the option where it says lower, upper, you just have to know how to input it in the proper order. And it looks the same after anyway for both of us. 0.3328 is my percent, or in percentage form, 33.28%. We always want to answer the question based on the question. It says what percent. So even though we have our probability or our area as a decimal, Because it's asking me in percent form, I'm converting it into percent. Otherwise, I would leave it like this.